I know it's only Wednesday night and usually I go live in my kitchen on Friday nights, but since I've been so sick, I felt like you wouldn't mind if I caught up a little bit with you guys. This weekend was the Balloon and Wine Festival here in Temecula, and I wasn't able to eat anything at the festival, but I did get to watch other people eating at the Balloon and Wine Festival. And one of the things that I saw looked so incredible. Oh my gosh. It was, what looked like spiralized white potato nachos. Like cheese, and oh my gosh, it just looked like I had to have it. I wanted it. Obviously I didn't eat it, but I thought it kind of gave me a good idea. This week, when I got my farm box yesterday, I was live with you guys and I showed you all the things that come in my farm box, and one of the things I got was leeks, and it just so happened that I had a ton of leeks in my fridge anyways, and I told you my favorite thing to do with those leeks is this sweet potato, you know, kind of like a potatoes au gratin type style, and the thought of those potatoes with the nacho cheese and all of that on top of it made me think of doing it like this, and how much faster it would be and faster it would cook if I used my spiralizer to make the sweet potatoes. So tonight we're having June gloom dinner. I don't mind heating up my oven. I've been cold all day. Even though it's 70 degrees outside in sunny California, I am still cold. So I don't mind making a hot dish since I was cold outside. So I got my oven heated to 350 degrees. I'm using my glass Pyrex pan. It takes about 45 minutes, covered in foil, this dish that I'm going to show you today. But instead of having to thinly slice all my sweet potatoes, it's taking me like 20 seconds to do the spiralized sweet potato. So I've got my spiralizer. This is the Paderno spiralizer. I got it on Amazon. I pretty much get everything on Amazon. And I've got it on just the single blade, as you can see, just the single blade. So it's not going to make zoodles or noodles. It's just going to make these really fine, spiraled, kind of thin, paper thin, really, sweet potatoes. So I'll show you what that looks like. It takes me just a second. This is my little sweet potato here, and it has a little setting where I just kind of plug it in on the back side. Get it all set up here, and then I just twist it through. And there's very little tension. It doesn't take much energy or effort to do these. And I'm getting these beautiful ribbons of sweet potato. And I've never cooked it like this before. This is one of my favorite things to make, one of my favorite ways to use leeks, one of my favorite ways to use sweet potatoes, but I've never done it with the spiralizer before, so I was really excited to show you guys, even though it's a Wednesday and not a Friday. I had to jump on here with you. So I've got my sweet potato ribbons all piled in. That's exactly what I was looking for. Get this spiralizer out of my way. And then what I do to get the, to complete this is I saute those beautiful leeks. So I chopped them all up into nice thin slices, cut those in half, and then sauteed them in a little bit of duck fat. I wanted to make this Whole30 approved for you guys, so in case you are following the Whole30 or you just are looking for a healthy recipe that doesn't have any dairy in it, usually I do saute it in Kerrygold butter. So today I did the leeks with a little bit of duck fat, and I'll show you what they look like. They're so beautiful and they smell amazing. I told you guys yesterday that leeks have a really mild onion flavor to them, so they're not overpowering. So here's all my leeks. And I have a lot more than I usually do because I had a couple extra in the fridge and I figured I might as well use them so they don't go bad. And these were just sauteed in the duck fat, like I said. So I'm going to pour this over the ribboned sweet potatoes. Now if you don't have a spiralizer, that's okay. You can just cut them or use a mandolin. I don't have a mandolin, so I was just slicing them by hand. And it takes, a good 15-20 minutes to slice them. And I feel like when you're slicing them by hand, you should probably also peel the potatoes so that you don't have big pieces with skin. But when you're doing it with the spiralizer, it makes it so thin that it really doesn't matter if there's a little bit of skin on it. And you're going to get all that iron and keratin from these anyways, and the skin has so many nutrients. So if you can keep it, go for it. Okay, so that's all with the leeks and the sweet potatoes, and then I just add a little bit of fresh rosemary. I have rosemary in my garden, so I just add a little bit of fresh rosemary to that. It adds just a whole level of freshness and, you know, earthiness. So those are going down. And I'm pairing this tonight with, I had some asparagus in my fridge and some steaks. I'll show you those in a second. Okay, so this is going to cook in my oven, 350 degrees, glass Pyrex pan with foil over it. The reason I do the foil over it is because I don't want the potatoes to get dried out. I want them to steam. And they will create a little bit of their own moisture, and if they steam, then you're going to get really soft potatoes. If you don't do the tin foil, you're going to end up having to cook it a little bit longer, and what you'll end up with is some dry, cooked, though, fork tender, cooked sweet potatoes on the top and raw on the bottom. So if you get them steaming and kind of cooking in their own juices together, you're going to get really soft all the way through good cooked sweet potatoes. So those are going in. I seasoned the leeks with a little bit of salt when I was cooking them, so that's plenty of seasoning for these. I'm going to put this in the oven now. And that's going to go for 45 minutes. While those are cooking, I have my steaks out resting, and the reason I have them resting is because I want to cook those steaks on the barbecue outside. And when you're cooking protein, you don't want cold protein to go down on top of a hot grill. What you're going to end up with is your steaks, which start out nice and big, are going to shrink down really small, and they're going to get really tough. So that is not what I want at all. These were, you know, really good, high quality steaks, and I really don't want them to go to waste. So I am going to let them come to room temperature. If you let them come up to room temperature before you cook them, they're going to cook a little slower, even though the barbecue's heated up before you put it on. And you're going to get a nicer, tender piece of meat. So I've got my duck fat, and I'm just going to pour it over. I'm keeping my fats consistent throughout my cooking tonight. So duck fat for the leeks, and a little bit of duck fat for the asparagus. Try to get 4 to 6 tablespoons of fat in my diet every day. So anywhere that I can add a little bit of extra fat, I'm happy to do that. I've got my Icelandic flake salt. I've talked to you guys about this before. This one I use, the reason I use this salt is not only because it tastes just like unbelievable. Hey Amy! But also because it has 83 of the 86 minerals that are necessary for your needs for your body. So I just try to get my minerals, getting my fat, getting all my nutrients in. So I'll just wrap this up in a little foil packet, and I'm going to cook this on my barbecue while the steaks are being, while the steaks are cooking too. So I've got a timer. I'll set a timer on the oven for 45 minutes for the sweet potatoes, and then the steaks are only going to take about 8 minutes total, and then 10 minutes to rest after they're cooked. I like mine. I always joke with my family when they ask, like, oh, how do you like your steak? I tell people, like, walk it through a warm kitchen. I still like there to be pink in my steak, so I cook mine just a few minutes on each side. My husband, on the other hand, we overcook his meat a little bit because he likes there to be no pink on the inside. So everybody's a little different. That's okay. Okay. So here's my beautiful steaks. Okay, I feel, honest to God, if you have a good piece of meat, if you get a good cut of meat, the only seasoning it needs is a little bit of salt. That's going to bring out the flavor, and that's it. You really, really don't need a whole, you know, steak sauce, marinades, any of that. Just some really good, high quality, delicious salt. That's going to bring out the flavors. And you're not going to ruin the flavor of the meat itself. Why spend the money on a high quality piece of meat if you're going to put a bunch of flavors on it? Just buy a, you know, cheap cut if that's what you want. I'm going to cover this in foil because I'm going to let this come up to temperature for the next 25-30 minutes before I get my barbecue started. Like I said, I really want this to be room temperature. So I just took these out of the fridge about 10 minutes ago. When they are room temperature, or at least not cold, that's when I'm going to throw them on the grill. So I've got my asparagus that's going to go on the grill for about 10 minutes, and my steaks, which are going to go on the grill for between between 5 and 8 minutes. They're a thinner piece of meat, so I don't really want to overcook them. And then I'm gonna let those rest for about 10 minutes, and I got my sweet potatoes in the oven going for 45. And that's it. That's like the easiest, simplest, quickest dinner. Very little prep and very little cleanup. Keep the mess outside. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the spiralizer. There's a ton of different things you can do with one of these. But I had never, like I said, never tried those ribbons, and that just totally saved me so much time tonight. And when I got home from work just a few minutes ago, I was exhausted thinking like, I don't want to cut a bunch of sweet potatoes. I might as well just throw them in the oven. And then I thought, no, I really want to use my leeks up. So the dilemma was solved by my spiralizer. So I am so excited to have gotten to share with you. I know, Amy, it's awesome, right? I love mine too. It's like, there's no shortage of amazing things you can do with it. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I can't wait to cook with you again. Have a good night.